Hi guys, and welcome to this tutorial. We are going to be making this really cute rainbow amigurumi heart. I know in the next section I am going to tell you the colors that you need for the heart and all the materials, but I forgot to say that you do need some type of filling. Any polyfill, yarn scraps, whatever you like to use to stuff Ami, I would suggest you go and grab that now because I forgot to say it in the next clip. But yeah, let's jump into it. Okay, so you will need red, orange, yellow, green, blue, and purple. On top of a pair of scissors, darning needle, stitch marker, and a 3.5 millimeter crochet hook. We're going to be starting with the red yarn. We're going to do 10 rows in red, or rounds in red, okay? So we're going to start off with the red. We're going to make a magic ring. Just wrap it around my finger twice. Pull up a loop. And then chain one. There's my magic ring. You can also do a chain 3 and slip stitch into the first to create a loop, or you can put all the stitches in the very first chain. For round 1, we are going to do 6 single crochets. We are also working in continuous rounds, so there's no slip stitching at the end of the round to connect it. We're just going to keep going. Okay. We're going to pull that tail so that the middle closes. That is round 1. Round 2, we're going to do an increase in each stitch. An increase is just doing 2 single crochets in the same stitch. The first one is always the most difficult one for me. It's always the most difficult. So there's 1 and 2, so that's 1 increase. 1, 2, second increase, so you should have 4 stitches right now. Six, 8, 10, and 12. Just pull up a little bit more yarn. All right, for round 3, this is where I start using the stitch marker. We're going to do 1 single crochet, and you're going to put the stitch marker right on that very first stitch. In the next stitch, we're going to do an increase. Increase is just 2 single crochets in the same stitch. And that's going to be the repeat of this round. We're going to do 1 single crochet and then 1 increase. One single crochet, 1 increase, 1 single crochet, and 1 increase. Single crochet, and you should end with an increase. So at the end of this round, you should have 18 single crochets. Now for round 4, I'm going to move the stitch marker. We're going to do 1 single crochet, and then put our stitch marker back on that stitch right there. So 1 single crochet, 2 single crochets, then in the next stitch we are going to do an increase. So that is the repeat for this round. Going to do 2 regular single crochets and then an increase. Two regular single crochets and then an increase. Gonna repeat that all the way around until you get to your stitch marker. Alright, so I'm done with the round and you should have 24 single crochets. Now for round 5, I'm going to remove a stitch marker, I'm going to do a single crochet, and then put that stitch marker into that very first single crochet. So there's the 1, another single crochet, another single crochet, and an increase. So that is the repeat for this round. We are going to be doing 3 regular single crochets and then an increase. Three regular single crochets and an increase. You're going to repeat that all the way around till you get to your stitch marker. I'm at my stitch marker, so I'm fully done with the round. In total, you should have 30, that is 30 single crochets. So for round 6, we are just going to do 1 single crochet in each stitch. Make sure you move your stitch marker up with you. And it's just 1 single crochet in each stitch. So at the end of this round, you should still have 30 single crochets. I am done with this round and I still have 30 single crochets. That's 30 single crochets. For round 7, we are going to do 1 single crochet and move the stitch marker up. So here's 1, another single crochet, another single crochet, 1 more single crochet, and an increase. So the repeat for this round is 4 single crochets and an increase. 3, 4, increase. 1, 2, 3, 4, increase. 1, 2, 3, 4, increase. All right, I completed the round. At the end of this round, you should have 36 single crochets. Now for round 8 and 9, so that's 2 rows, we're just going to do 1 single crochet in each stitch. Super easy to do. Make sure you move your stitch marker with you, just so you know where you are. All right, I am at the end of round 9. So what I'm going to do now is I am going to fasten off, leave a little bit of space. Leave a little bit of yarn left. And you're just going to pull up that tail. And then here is one of the bumps. You're going to make a second bump, but do not fasten off on the second bump, okay? Do not fasten off. I'm going to make another one, so I'll be right back in a second. Alright, so I finished my second bump. I did not fasten off. I'm still attached to the cake over here. So you should have two little bumps. Now for round 10, we are going to do 15 single crochets. Make sure you move your stitch marker with you as well. So 15 single crochets. 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15. So we've done the 15 single crochets. Now we are going to bring in the other half that we did prior, and we're going to go into this stitch right here, right next to where you fastened off, this stitch right here, okay? We're going to go into that stitch and we're going to make a single crochet with your working yarn. Make sure you use your working yarn. Okay, single crochet. Now these two are attached. We're going to do 29 more single crochets on this half. So in total, you will have 30 on this bump and 30 on the other bump. But since we did this single crochet to attach both of the bumps together, this does count as one of the 30. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, and 30. All right, you're going to leave these stitches unworked, okay? Now you're going to look on your other bump, right? And you're going to find the single crochet that's right after the 15th one, right next to it, okay? So you're going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm going to leave those stitches unworked, and we're going to do 15 single crochets on the other side. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15. We're just going to pull up this loop real quick because we're going to stop and sew the middle together. Just super easy to do. You just take the yarn end from the first bump And I like to go into this stitch first here, and then this one over here where we connected the two bumps together. I like to go through that one first, okay? And then I go through the 6 stitches that we left unworked, just back and forth, back and forth. And then I'm going to do the same thing on this side. This stitch right here, and then that one right there. Just go through. And then I'm going to come around and go through that one again, but not pull it all the way through, just so I can make a knot. And the best part of this is that you do not have to weave in the yarn tail because you're just going to be stuffing the heart. So you just leave the end in there. But at the end of this round, you should have 60 single crochets. But before we start the next round, which is round 11, we're actually going to come back to this single crochet here, and we're going to do a color change to the orange. So what I like to do is I like to just keep those 2 loops on the hook and then bring in the other color. Hold on, have to find the center. There's the center. Could bring in the other color and pull it through those 2 loops. And then back here, you can make a little knot to secure it, because we are going to be cutting off the red yarn. We only do the red yarn for 10 rows. Then for the middle colors, which is orange, yellow, green, and blue, we are only doing 3 rows each. But since this is an Ami heart, you don't have to weave in the ends. You could just keep them on the inside. Nobody's gonna know. Besides us, of course. But nobody's really gonna know. For round 11 and 12, we are just doing 1 single crochet in each stitch. So at the end of every round, you should still have 60 single crochets. All right, so I finished round 11 and 12. Super easy, super easy. So for round 13, which is also the last round for the color orange, all right, we're going to start off with 13 single crochets. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and 13. Move that back a little bit. All right, we're going to do two decreases. Here is how I like to do the decreases. You can do them any way that you prefer, but this is how I like to do the decreases. So I go into the next stitch and I pull up a loop. I leave that on my hook. I go into the next stitch, pull up a loop. So now I have 3 loops on my hook. Then I yarn over and pull through all 3. So for me, that is a decrease. Like I said before, you could do it any way you would, normally do it, prefer to do it, but that's just the way I like to do it. So that's 1 decrease, and we're going to do another decrease. So there's 2. There's my 2 decreases. Now we're going to do 26 single crochets. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, and 26. Now we're going to do 2 decreases. There's 1, and 2. To finish off the row, we're going to do 13 single crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and 13. Now here is where we're going to do our color change. You could do it any way that you like to, but I'm just going to snip off the orange and move that to the side, and then grab my yellow, find the center, pull that through, keep that on my hook, and make a knot. Oh boy. There we go. All right. So at the end of this round, you should have 56 single crochets. For round 14, we are starting off with a decrease. Just one decrease. Make sure you put your stitch marker in that top stitch there, right there. Now we're going to do 24 single crochets. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, and 24. All right, now we are going to do 2 decreases. So there's 1 and 2. Now we're going to do 24 single crochets. And 24. All right, here is where we're going to do a decrease. Bam. All right, at the end of this round, you should have 52 single crochets. For round 15, we are going to start off with 11 single crochets. So there's the 1. And 11. All right, we're going to do 2 decreases. 1 and 2. Now we're going to do 22 single crochets. 22. All right, now we're going to do 2 decreases. There's 1 and there's 2. Now we're going to do 11 single crochets. And 11. At the end of this round, you should have 48 single crochets. For the final round of the yellow, which is also round 16, we are going to start off with a decrease. There's a decrease. Now we are going to do 20 single crochets. And 20. Now we are going to do 2 decreases. There's 1 and 2. Now we are going to do 20. There's a hair there. Sorry, 20 single crochets. And 20. Now we're going to end the round with a decrease. But before we finish, this is also a color change because this is the last round for the yellow. Move my yellow off to the side, and we're going to grab the green. Okay, like so. All right, there we go. So we did our 3 rows for the yellow, and at the end of this, I keep saying rows, but I mean round. I am very sorry. At the end of this round, you should have 44 single crochets. Now for round 17, we are just going to do 1 single crochet in each stitch. So at the end of this round, you should still have 44 single crochets. All right, I am at the end of round 17 and I still have 44 single crochets. For round 18, we are going to start off with 9 single crochets. So this is our first one. 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, and 9. Now we're going to do 2 decreases. 1, 2. Now we're going to do 18 single crochets. And 18. All right, now we're going to do 2 decreases. And 2. We're going to finish off the round with 9 single crochets. And 9. So at the end of this round, you should have 40, that is 40 single crochets. For round 19 and the last round for the green, we are starting off with a decrease. Okay. Now we're going to do 16 single crochets. And 16. Now we're going to do 2 decreases. There's 1 and there's 2. Now we're going to do 16 single crochets. All right, and the last thing we're going to do is a decrease, but we are also changing to the color blue. Okay, so do your decrease like normal, but before you fully complete it, make sure you do the color change. Let me bring out my blue. If I could find the center, there's the center. That through. All right, so at the end of round 19, you should have 36 single crochets. So for round 20, we are just going to do 1 single crochet in each stitch. So at the end of this round, you should still have 36 single crochets. All right, so finished round 20. I still have 36 stitches. For round 21, we are starting off with 7 single crochets. And 7. Now we're going to do 2 decreases. So 1 and 2. Now we're going to do 14 single crochets. And 14. Now we're going to do 2 decreases. To finish the round, we're going to do 7 single crochets. All right, here is where you're going to pull up a loop. You aren't going to change the colors or anything like that. You're just going to pull up a loop, and you are going to stuff your heart with polyfill or yarn scraps, whatever you have that you like to stuff amigurumi. I am actually going to stuff mine all the way up to the green line here, but I'm not going to record that. I'm going to just stuff the heart and then come back afterwards. All right, so I did stuff my heart up to the green line that was in there. I know it looks kind of wonky now, but it will shape up and it'll look really pretty at the end. Just trust the process. So I'm going to put the loop back on my hook, like so. And at the end of this round, you should have 32 single crochets. Now this is going to be the final round for the blue color. All right, so for round 22 we are starting off with a decrease. Just one decrease, going to do 12 single crochets. And 12. Now we're going to do 2 decreases. And 2. Now we're going to do 12 single crochets. And 12. We are finishing off the round with a decrease, but we are also on the final round for the blue color. So when you do the decrease, do a color change to the purple. It's already a knot. Wild. Past me did not want to leave any yarn scrap, I guess. All right. So we are going to fully finish the heart with the purple. So this was the last color change that you had to do. At the end of this round, you should have 28 single crochets. For round 23, we are just going to do 1 single crochet in each stitch. So at the end of this round, you should still have 28 single crochets. I am at the end of the round and I have 28 single crochets. For round 24, we're going to do 5 single crochets. And 5. We're going to do 2 decreases. So 1 and 2. Now we're going to do 10 single crochets. Now we're going to do 2 decreases. So 1 and 2. We're going to finish off the round with 5 single crochets. And 5. At the end of this round, you should have 24 single crochets. For round 25, we are starting off with a decrease. Okay, decrease. Now we're going to do 8 single crochets. Right, now we're going to do 2 decreases. There's 1, and there's 2. Now we're going to do 8 single crochets. And 8. Now we're going to end the round with a decrease. At the end of this round, you should have 20, that is 20, single crochets. For round 26, we are just going to do 1 single crochet in each stitch, in which you should still have 20 single crochets. And 20. Beautiful. For round 27, we're going to do 3 single crochets. Two, 3, and 2 decreases. 1 and 2. Now we're going to do 6 single crochets. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We're going to do 2 decreases. 1 and 2. We're going to end the round with 3 single crochets. 2 and 3. So at the end of this round, you should have 16 single crochets. But before we go to the last and final, well, obviously last is final, before we do the final round, we're going to pull up the loop, a loop in the purple, and you're going to finish stuffing the heart. Yeah, so you want to get it like right up to the ridge right here if you can. You don't have to. Obviously you could fill your heart with as much or as less of polyfill, yarn scraps, whatever you use, but I like to come right up to here. I'm not going to record stuffing the heart, but I'll just be back in a second. Alright, I may have overstuffed my heart a little bit, but you know what? It's fine. It's perfectly fine. So, we're going to do the final round of the heart. We don't need our stitch marker anymore. You can put that off to the side. For the final round for your heart, we are going to be doing 8 decreases. Just 8 decreases all the way around. Which may be a little difficult, but you can do it. Three. 4. 5. 6. 7 and 8. Now we're going to fasten off, but leave a little bit of a tail so we can cinch the bottom. Cinch the bottom closed. Sorry, I did not complete my thought. So sorry about that. I'm just going to chain 1 and pull that yarn end through. What I like to do, which is optional, is I like to go under every stitch all the way around. So then when I get to the end over here, I could just pull the tail and it closes. You can do any method you prefer. If you want to do this one, you can. If you want to go through one loop, you can. I am very sorry. The landscapers just decided to pop by. I'm very sorry. But all we're doing is just finishing up the bottom. So there's really no steps to it. There's no right or wrong way to do this. You just do it however you prefer, you know? So I went through the last one, and now I can just gently, it's gonna be a lot of pulling. And now it is cinched closed. But what I also like to do is I like to just go through the bottom again. Oh no, if I can. Hold on. There we go. Go through the bottom again and just make a knot to secure it a little bit more, just a tiny bit more. And then I make another knot. Try to get the knot closer to the knot that I just made. Okay, that'll have to do. It's a bigger knot, but it will have to do. And then I just go through here and hide the tail. Just make sure this goes into the bottom so you don't see the knot. There we go. Then just cut off the excess. Put that off to the side. Oop. And there you go. Your rainbow heart is now done. Sorry. I didn't realize my darting needle was on there. But anyways, your rainbow heart is now completed. It is very simple, very easy. You can knock this out in like 40-45 minutes, maybe an hour, really depending upon your speed. But it's so easy to do, so simple to do. I love the way that it came out. I love the stripes. I love everything about this heart. So I do want to thank you guys so much for watching. If you did like the tutorial, please give it a thumbs up. It's not mandatory, but it does help my channel grow. If you'd like to see more tutorials, feel free to subscribe and check out the other tutorials I have on my channel. I am in the process of making more Pride heart tutorials as well. Again, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!